Welcome everyone and welcome to All In, All United.
Remember the comment he made?
I got some bars to these.
Run Ryan.
And here's the thing, you have players out there.
I think the fellas will take it more serious.
What grade?
That one.
Yes, because at the end of the day, right now, Manchester United are
All right, fellas. Season's greetings. You know, we still in the festive season, and normally we just look forward to real football. You know, but for some reason, I just find this, I think it's Boxing Day and the day after. You just get some real nice clashes now. I just find it was real underwhelming this year, boy. You know, I don't know what to do in terms of how these fixtures run at this particular time. Yeah, I always remember Boxing Day, the day after, you used to get some real nice clashes, some real nice games, you know, and it was real. I mean, earlier, I hope everybody, you know, enjoying the season responsibly. You know, it was always going to be a tough ask to do the pod yesterday, you know, like we'd have done it in the past. You know, but you know, I think today was the better fit. You know, so how the season treating everybody, Phil, Simeon, JP, how the season, you know, how it going for you?
Yeah, man. It was a white Christmas up here. It was quite cold, but you know, food was good, company was good, and you know, Boxing Day is when the nerves turn on. And you know, 24th and 25th were all great days because I did nothing, just ate food and laughed, and you know, and then you know the tears almost came down on the 26th. So, but you know what, life is good. I got Christmas presents, but I also asked for 3 points as well, and lo and behold, we got it right. So that was my last couple of days. So yeah.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Simeon?
Nah, it was good. I mean, it wasn't a white Christmas here in Indiana. It was pretty warm. Um, you know, kind of enjoyed it a little bit. But you know, the bad thing is I had to work on Boxing Day because that's not really a real thing here. So you know, I went to work. You know, but the machine we were working with decided not to work, so I got to watch, you know, part of the game, you know, and you know, it was a treat, you know. I see, you know, it was a festive affair. I see things that I didn't think I would see from this Amarim term, you know. So it was interesting. So, but I quite enjoyed it. I think I got some answers from Amarim as far as you know what we're doing with his team that I didn't have before. So I'll take that and move on from there. You know.
Yeah. But always ever get snow in Indiana? Or
Yeah,
no?
all the time. This is kind of weird for us not to have you know, like a week or two ago it was, you know, negative, you know, degrees, you know. So, you know, it's kind of a nice thing to have, you know, for me, you know.
Okay.
Everybody else mad, but me, I happy, I good.
Yeah. JP, what we saying, bro?
Yeah, evening fellas. Merry Christmas. Yeah, I Christmas was nice. It passed nice with family, you know. The Boxing Day, it was good for me too, and you know, good thing for you, little drinks I was having. It make the game easier to watch. It was a lot more bearable because of the alcohol. Because when I tell you that second half was a terrible watch, it was terrible. But you know, we get it 3 points, clean sheets. Somehow we manage it.
Somehow.
Yeah. Somehow. Yeah. Well, guys, we're here to get into this game today. You know, and I think with a number of injured players and you know players unavailable, those who went to the AFCON, you know, in terms of the starting 11, because I know we would have had some ideas in our minds. We heard, murmurings, around the team and the manager talking about certain changes. And there's some comments that the manager made in an interview that I want to get into a little bit later. Have the comments up, all right? So we'll go through those comments and we'll kind of try to dissect that a little bit, because on some end, for me, that kind of relief, but on next end, it's very concerning. But we will talk about that, right? So that's to come. But in terms of, the starting 11 that the manager chose to field, as I said before, considering the players that were not there, what was your thoughts, guys? We could get into the game one time.
What was the question?
The team selection with the absent players, the injuries and the ones who leave for AFCON, and thoughts on the game.
Well, yeah, we always saw this coming with regards to the players leaving for AFCON. And then there's some players in the team that, can never stay fit, right? So it was good to see Casemiro back in the lineup. And I was nervous because Ugarte was also in the midfield as well, too, right? But what had me intrigued was the formation that Ruben Amorim put out, which was a 4-2-3-3. Sorry, 4-2-3-1, sorry. Or 4-3-3, however you want to look at it. With your guy Patrick Dorgu playing as a right winger, right? So obviously you got two players. One, you're nervous about because they're not really the type of player that should be in midfield. And then two, you got Patrick Dorgu on the right. And then you got young Aiden Heaven. And then you got Lissandro Martinez. So right now, we have 3 left-footed players, I think, in the defense.
Yeah.
Which are Heaven, Lissandro Martinez, and Shaw. Totally forgot about him. So that's 3 left-footed players that this guy decided to go to. I was like, oh my gosh, right? So lo and behold, it was a stellar first half performance. Let's put it that way, right? To my surprise, the likes of Ugarte and Dorgu actually showed up, right? So kudos to them, right? You got we on the podcast over the last couple of years, we call it out. If you're playing shit, you're playing shit. But if you do well, you do well, right? But I think we gotta zoom in on one Aiden Heaven, right? And that was probably one of the best performances I've seen from a young center back, right? When I watched the guy play yesterday, and even he is the mirror image of Lissandro Martinez. And I tell you why, because obviously they're both left-footed. Obviously, they're so composed when it comes to playing the ball out of defense. They also are ball progressors as well. For guys who are not, I'm not sure how tall Aiden Heaven is, but I don't think he's over 6 foot. I don't think so. I could be wrong, right? So, yeah, maybe somebody check that for me, but he doesn't look that tall. But
Yeah.
another similarity is that both Lissandro Martinez and Aiden Heaven aren't that tall for center backs, yet they somehow position their body to just win aerial duels with guys who are 6'5" and just taller than them, right? It's such a breath of fresh air to see Lissandro Martinez back in the defense. Cool, calm, and composed. And this is the guy we've been missing for quite a while in our centre-back position. Because I think when some of our centre-backs have the ball, they look to bump the ball, play direct football, and, hope it finds somebody, right? With Lissandro Martinez, he's so composed that nobody looks to press him, right? When you can tell when a centre-back or a player is just nervous, the opposition player just presses him a lot. That wasn't Lissandro Martinez or Aiden Heaven yesterday, right?
He's
So
6'2".
he's 6'2". Okay.
Yeah.
But for some reason, he don't look that tall. Okay, he's
You look at
6'2".
the way
But I think 6'2" for a center back, in my opinion, isn't tall. Some of the great center backs, other than Cannavaro, were like, 6'4", 6'5" and above, right? So, but yeah, I'll start talking. But as I mentioned, just to wrap it up, Ugarte played well. Dorgu took his goal well yesterday. Sene Lamens, definitely a guy to shout out as well, because you see how far we've fallen from having a good keeper who just does the basics, right? And then kudos to Lissandro Martinez and Ada Heaven for marshalling that defense yesterday. So yeah.
Yeah. So, well, Phil, I'm glad you brought it up, because that's one of the talking points I had, with the Martinez and Heaven partnership. I want to get your thoughts on it. So probably for Simeon and JP, you all could gain a little more on that partnership. Your thoughts on that partnership. And Amrim said after the game, talking about Heaven, how he performing. He was saying something along the line that it wouldn't be, once he continues like this, it wouldn't be easy for the others to displace him. And then when you saw what Martinez brought to the team, in his first starting over how much ever months, I thought they looked solid. But I'm gonna get what's not Simeon, JP.
No, I mean, look at Hev. I mean, since last year, I mean, you look at Heaven play. You knew there was something about him. You saw the rawness as far as inexperience, but still you saw the talent. You saw the confidence. You saw that the moment was not too big for him. He wanted to progress the ball. He wanted to, be a top player. Who wasn't scared of the moment. And I think what I like about him and Martinez is you don't have guys that just play the ball side to side and then kick the ball up the field. You'll get that diagonal. You get that different kind of balls going to feet. In the midfield or the forward line that he won't see before. That was impossible to find. I don't know if it was the formation, but you saw balls like that you didn't think we knew how to play, being played. When Martinez and Heavy were there, if they found different angles, and I guess it all stems from not being rushed or knowing how to maneuver yourself under pressure. I think that was one of the most refreshing things from the game was the ability to handle the pressure and play the ball through the midfield to the feet of the attacking players. That's one of the big things I saw. Martinez, I just hope he stays healthy. Anytime I see him, we all see how good he is, and then a few months later, we back to missing him. But I think the fact that he came back and he looks sharp already is a big deal, because last time he came back, he was kind of looked really rusty for a while. Again, Heaven, I mean, I think it's just for him, it's just the experience. I think he physically, and he has the skill, the composure for the moment. It's just the little mistakes here and there that you have to worry about. But Amrim is right. The other players need to worry about him, because as far as I don't think his mentality is as not Euro. I like Euro, but I think there's two different type of players there. As far as that's those two. I mean, Dogu has been here for a year now. We need,
almost.
yeah. I mean, we need. I mean, at least that's the least he could do. That's the least. Is that his first goal? Really? It's really his first goal? Nah, that can't be it.
If you're counting preseason, then I think he had two.
No, I see that I hear that stat yesterday. The amount of chances he position. We all talk about the other position he's been in. That was due. That goal was due. For the team, for us. In Amarim. We need more of that. I don't know if play on the right open up something. He looked more comfortable yesterday with the formation or just being on right. He looked more comfortable. The play moved a little bit, smoother. I'll give it a JP. I just want to say this: like, no, when you watch football and you see the right pass, and you have to yell at the TV for them to pass the right person. I found like yesterday we did that more. We found the right pass more often, at least in the first half when we were actually trying to play.
Yeah, that partnership. I think what the best thing with it is two players who comfortable with both feet. So it's not like very left-footed players who play in the middle there. And I think that's why they complement each other and they're both very comfortable on the ball. You see, Heaven knows how to use his body as well to get away from his man, to progress the ball and then make a pass. So he's not just kicking with the ball. It's not long time defending. So I like that about him, and we saw it with him last season that it takes a few games for him to build up the confidence, and he started off a little shaky because he wasn't getting opportunities. And to me, the more games you see him playing, you're seeing what we were seeing last season when everybody was balling. We owe Arsenal money because the man is a proper player. He proper. So to me, I don't think this is the partnership going forward, but I like the fact that we have options in the back line. The only thing that I don't like with it is means that giving Amrin more excuse to tinker with our back line every game. And I hate to see changes making our defense work. That is the only thing about it. But it just is good that we missing so much of our defense, like the main defenders, but we could still have players like Heaven step up and this is what you want from a squad. You want players who could fall in and deliver the same kind of quality and make the manager have to think about, well, maybe you ought to be on the starting level. Instead, no. That's where one of the squad, so you always expect that level coming into the game. So to me, I enjoy that partnership, and I think having the seniority and the leadership of our Martinez next to him would have only made it even better. And that is something that we look at real important. Having Shaw next year and having Martinez next year is two different things. Two totally different things. So I think that in itself would have elevated that defensive partnership there. So yeah, and one thing I want to mention also that Ugarte. I kept saying it, and I've said it a while now. Ugarte is not he's probably not United quality, but the man not as bad as he looks in his team because the formation makes him look worse. Yesterday, he looked better because of the formation, because of the system, because he had Casemiro closer to him. Simple as that, you know. The man could have played more of his natural game. Simple as that. And the manager don't want to recognize these things by leaving players out there to dry.
As you mentioned that, right? Now I like how all the flow, all kind of going exactly where I want the conversation to go, right? But just to reel back a little bit, and I want to ask, do you all think that that's how the back three in terms of the defenders, how it's set up, because these guys are natural center backs, right? It has some of the know-hows in terms of where you're supposed to be, how you're supposed to position yourself, that kind of working against them. Because we're talking about Heaven, and then Euro came on, and Euro started to get run at without the support of the wing back. So I asked myself, if what we're seeing from Heaven now, especially yesterday, because I thought him and Martinez in our back two was real solid, right? Simeon, you would have identified some of his qualities with him, you being able to use both feet, how calm they are in possession. And I asked myself, I wonder if Euro was allowed to play as a centre back in a two with Martinez.
Yep.
If we'll be talking highly about him as we're talking about heaven.
We will.
You know, because most of these players they came up playing in a back two. You know, and I wonder if, you know, and I don't want to take away from Heaven because Heaven is a quality player. You're seeing it, we call it. But while that's happening, I feel as though we're losing, you know, Euro, and I know Euro is a top quality player, and I feel as though Euro might be getting a little bit of a raw deal in terms of how he being utilized. You know, so let me talk about, you know, the change in this formation that we saw yesterday. We talk about Dogu. JP mentioned just now Ugarte playing in a more of his natural position, so we were able to see a better Ugarte. I mean, we could all admit that, you know, probably he's not the ideal, but we were able to see him be better, so much so that people were, you know, praising him. And it's so weird that today you'll get praised, tomorrow you'll get criticized, the day after you'll get praised. The level of consistency from Man United and the players here, it's crazy. And then what we bringing that down to, right? Because you play them in the way that they based on their skill sets, how they should be utilized, and we praising them. You play them outside of that, and it's criticism. You know, so Phil, on the formation, right, that we set up with yesterday, what was your takeaway from, you know, the different way we played yesterday and how it's impacted on the players that we use?
So, I mean, two things. I was a bit surprised because at one moment I was starting to say Ruben Amorim is a bit stubborn. He's all about this whole three in a back line and the wing backs going back and forth to help out with either the midfield and also the back three as well. And you know what? This formation that we've seen for God knows how long, whether we're watching Manchester United or other teams, right? There's some players that look more natural in this formation, right? As JP mentioned, Ugarte looks, as you mentioned, JP, he's not as bad, but I just get a bit nervous. Let's put it that way, right? I get real nervous on this when he got the football, right? Who was Mason Mount was playing in the 10 yesterday. It was Dorgu on the right, Cunha on the left, Mason Mount in the 10. And Mason Mount's natural position is actually a number 10. Right? That's how he was at Chelsea, feeding Kai Havertz when he was there as well, too, right? So a lot of these players.
I think Mount play a kind of 10-8, so defensively he dropped in as an 8, so in a kind of 4-3-3. And in attacking, he was advanced behind.
Well, yeah, I mean that's how most, if not all, number 10s play, right? You know, they drop deep for the football, right? So, but
the thing about it, Phil, sorry, but I didn't really see him, even though he would have picked up the 10 space. I didn't see him as like the creative outlet now. You know, I don't know if you understand what I mean. You know, normally when
don't forget for Manchester United, for as long as we've been watching it, whether it's 10, 20, 30 years, our creativity comes mostly from the wings.
Yeah.
Right? So hence why the likes of Dalot were putting crosses, hence why the likes of Dorgu yesterday was taking shots at goal, but also putting in crosses as well too. So Mason Mount in the number 10, I would like to see him there again. I won't just judge one game. And I don't want to say that, but then say, like, you know, be praising Aiden Heaven, saying thank you, Arsenal, and what's not, right? So Aiden Heaven, you can see there was some natural ability there, right? But I digress. The formation yesterday, as I mentioned, players look a bit more natural. Let's put it that way, right? Luke Shaw was back at the left back position again. That's the reason we bought him. That's where he played at Southampton, right? And then Diego Dallo as well to that natural right back. So You know, you did ask a question if Lenny Euro had to be playing next to Lissandro Martinez, if we would be singing his praise as well, because Lenny Euro's confidence is so low right now, right? I got a question still, Benjamin Sesko, right? Because I think on the pod last time when we were discussing Sané Laments, where there wasn't that like wow factor, right? There's something about Benjamin Sesko that doesn't have me like, I don't want to say jumping on the bandwagon as yet, but it's more of like, I need to see more. I need to see more to say, all right, cool. I can see the type of player Sesko is going to be, right? So
I'll say something to that after. I'll
yeah, for sure, for sure. I can't really think of any player who put a foot wrong other than maybe Xerxes in the second half, but we revert to the whole three in the back line again. Like he was trying to protect a 1-goal lead at Old Trafford, right? So, but in terms of also, let me just go back a little bit to Benjamin Sesko as well. A lot of people say he's not getting the service. Yes and no, right? So, but I'll end it there.
Yeah. So I'll touch on Sesko first, right? Because I keep telling Reem this. I think we're repeating the mistakes of Hoyland with Sesko.
Okay.
Sesko is new to the league. He's still a young striker, still learning his trade. Coming to a team with all the weight on his shoulder to be number 9 for the team. We repeating the mistakes of Hoyland. So this is why I was of the opinion that Xerxes could have been given some responsibility to shoulder some of the weight earlier or in the season while you give Sesko minutes off the bench and allow him to grow into the league. Because not all players could come hit the ground running one time. And from the time the manager recognized that, you know how a striker plays with confidence. You had to tell him, talk to him, let him know, all right, tell you what, you know the main man we sign here, we want to allow you the time to come into the team. So Xerxes will be starting games. You'll come off the bench, get some minutes, get your feet into the game, learn the league a little bit, and then from there you start to build yourself up to start mode. And I think that's what should have been done because we did the same thing with Rasmus Højlund. People were talking about him. I still think he should, if I'm being honest. I'm not going to say otherwise. But he got rodded as well. He gets a rodded at Man United. And we do the same thing with Sesko this season. Where we should have gone for an experienced striker to have with the likes of Sesko. We didn't do that. We brought somebody who was new to the league with not the greatest amount of experience, if we be honest. Not all players could just come in like how Ekitike come in and just own in the league to the point that, it's like the question what was the point of even them signing Isaac?
You gotta watch Ollie Watkins, JP.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, right? So it's like not all players will come in and do that. So I think Sesko is a good striker, but we put him in a bad position. And it's the same thing that we do not have a lot of players in this team. It's the same thing happening to Ugarte. It's the same thing happening probably with Dorgu, because Dorgu is probably not a wing back. So we doing a lot of players injustice. Lenny Euro is another one we were just talking about. And to what Reem was talking about in terms of position, I think as Rio Ferdinand was talking about that recently, where what you're doing as a right back is different to what you're doing as a centre back. And if you train in your life as a centre back, then what you're being asked to do now as the right centre back is almost the role of a right back. So he getting himself in positions that he's not accustomed defending in. And then the wing back not coming back to help him out. So we spoiling a good player there. So I definitely think 100% if he played next to Martinez in a back four, you see in the Euro that we signed. But I do think he came on and was positive. He looked good when he came on. He looked like he was he has a good mentality. So you see that he wants to correct the wrongs. So I think he will catch back himself. But at the end of the day, I think the manager has to recognize what works and what does not work with his team. And he exposing players and not making them better. And it's not about I hear somebody I think it's Stephen Howson is always say it's on the player, it's not the manager to make the player better. Fair enough. But if you keep putting a player in a position where it exposing the weakness, then you're not making the player better, you're making the player worse. Because then their confidence hitting the floor right through. So we saw it yesterday to tie it all into the formation and lineup. We saw it yesterday when we lined up with our back four, how much more in control of the game we were, how much more composed we look, how much more of a team we looked with a totally depleted squad. This squad was depleted, and look at how much better we look with a depleted squad with a more structured formation. And then second half, it was helter-skelter football again because we move away from the back four and he went back to his back three stupidness and messed up the whole game. So we were very fortunate, I would say, to come out at the end of the day with that one.
Yeah. Again, we flowing real nice. So Simeon, JP just went and he spoke about the change in formation, right? So we want to talk about and oh gosh, Ali, it again so again so fed up and making this statement, a game of two halves and first half and second half and only what going on? Why do we continuously see a good first half and an absolutely poor second half, right? Or a poor second half and then we come out looking that will never happen. But most times we just start the game good and then second half is we just crumble and I don't know. I can't find. I mean, it's not necessarily my responsibility to figure out why, but we could discuss because we just watch football, we intelligent, we understand the game, we just analyze it. Why is it that we always have to be coming here talking about a game of two halves? Before you jump in on the signal, I'll just get the comments, right? We have some comments on the inside. So, Alan Lewis on the inside, good night to you. Thanks for joining and Merry Christmas to you as well, my boy. He's saying, after that game, I needed my blood pressure checked. Boy. Crystal on the inside, good night, man. Thanks for joining. He's saying supporting United should be a risk factor for heart attack, but big 3 points though. Aaron on the inside, good night to you as well, buddy. All right. So Simeon, go through.
No, I mean, make it make sense. I mean, I don't, the things Amremdes do in these games, I can't make sense of. I mean, you could talk about the players, but when you see that kind of changes he make, kind of subs that come in the second half, the kind of formation changes, it's hard to get at the players because watching a game, you don't know what, who, why, what, all them questions come into your head, go on this game. So, I mean, I couldn't, to be honest, I couldn't keep up of who was where and what they were doing and why they came on before other players. That's my whole thing. Second half was just a mess, a complete mess. Because I know football, scholar, but the changes you think he would make, he don't make them. They fletch us up. I'm like, okay, you see the young man in training, so he probably but I didn't really see him. I can't remember too much a young fella in the game. I just feel like he kind of went in. Them kids when they get a toy or some cat went in there, just kind of like mashed it up a little bit like that. That's how I feel the second half went. He just went in and threw some things up in the air, and the end of the game, I don't know what's going on. I just feel like with the whole formation thing. I just feel like them fellas just laugh, kiki any day, and and we out here trying to figure out what going on. The man say, hey, by the way, that 4-2-3-1 looking good, ha ha ha, And you look at Amrim like for how long we seeing this? How long? I mean, since you get hired, you should know this. I rather he stay quiet and say, you know what, I'm gonna stick to my trade back, because now I look at him, I'm like, what? It took you how long to learn these things? You wait till after, till you have hardly any, top ranked players to decide, okay, well, this might work. Now realize that, in January that you might need to spend money on players, player system. And it's like, you've been here a year. It's like, what kind of coaching, what kind of planning you and the Ineos fellas been doing for the last year to finally come to all these realizations that the whole fan base knew, before you even came here. I just, that second half just made me realize how, like, with Amarim, like, I don't know what kind of jokey coach we have. I mean, he's like, oh, I changed the system and we did this, we did that. And I'm like, so you have these fellas. You say he changing information. When we have the ball possession, when we have attack. I'm like, so you struggling with your first team to get the fellas to play that kind of football. Or you're not doing it when you have your first team. But now you have these fellows who fill in who really play. You go pull this out. You get confused anyhow. Like, if you're losing all these games, I need to start coaching like in September. I need to start doing something different. We're trying to win the games, right? We're trying to win games, But I don't understand. You asked me this question about the second half. I don't know what was going on in the second half. All I know is he put fellas out. He threw all the players' names up in, and whoever name come up, he put out there and tell them to defend. I see Malacia out there. Okay, well, Malacia he used to play. I mean, I just feel like he defending, but we ain't gonna try and play football. We ain't gonna try it. We ain't gonna try to do anything except defend. What is your, and I'm glad we win, but that ain't gonna work. That ain't gonna work most of the time.
Yeah. And you see, I don't know if it's a psychological thing that Newcastle know that Man United, once you pin them back, they'll crack at some point. So that would have been the instructions from Eddie Howe. Just go at them because they don't ever come back out focused in the second half, and we could sucker punch them right on the bloody whistle, right? And with our psychology knowing that we just crack, you understand? As we come out, we just decide, well, hey, let me try to damage control as opposed to be proactive as we were in the first half. I'll be honest with you, going into the game, I didn't see that first half and all. I didn't see us playing that well, right? So watching that game, I was impressed. And how much times we had to say this was the best 45 minutes of football, and each 45 keep improving. But then we go in and we throwing away all that good football to do that kind of rubbish and go in survival mode in the second half. You understand? And too much times, the good footballer we would have seen for 45 minutes come and we throw it away with cowardice decisions and cowardice movements from the touchline. And that's the problem I have. I think we saw a first half, in a certain formation that we all kind of agree with, that players were a lot more comfortable, players knew what they're supposed to do because it came a lot more natural, right? And then second half, the manager saw that we were under the cosh a little bit, and he panicked and he changed the system. And I think that was premature. We watching football for years, fellas. We know it have phases in the play where one team go be on top, one team could be under pressure, and it's all about weathering the storm until you could get your foot back in the game. And I think that is all we really needed to do, Just weather the storm for that early bit of minutes under the same system, same for the back, until we could have forced ourselves back in the game. And let's see how long again we could have hold on playing the way we were playing to see the kind of joy we were seeing. Because eventually we had to push Newcastle back. But we tell Newcastle, come on, come. And that whole second half was defense versus attack. Phil, go through.
Yeah, from the time the whistle blew in the second half, I told myself, okay, well, let's see if we can continue the same form that we showed in the first half. And I have not had a longer 45 minutes in football this season. I've not. People say it was only a few minutes. No, it was for the entire second half. We were on the back foot at home to Newcastle. It's a good thing they are not converting their chances. Well, they didn't have much chances, but we just keep on blocking them. And it's a good thing their crosses weren't finding anybody as well, too, right? And I don't know, boy. I swear, I was just watching the game, and to make something positive or to negative, Sané laments. When he catches that football from across, the nerves are calm. And it just shows you where we've gone from with Onana to Sané laments. A cross comes in, but don't get me wrong, he made a mistake. I said, oh Lord, but lo and behold, it was a foul on him. So I just slightly let that pass because that was almost Onana-esque, right? But Sané laments on corners, when a cross comes in, he's just commanding it. And he probably was the only person that was calming my nerves yesterday. I thought Joshua Zirkzee would have come on because he was the perfect guy to replace Benjamin Sesko. And lo and behold, Joshua Zirkzee did nothing. Nothing whatsoever. I was so disappointed in Joshua Zirkzee yesterday, right? I heard Mount came off because Mount picked up an injury. And I also must question Casemiro being subbed because Casemiro looked a bit disappointed yesterday. He was like kind of confused as to why he's being subbed as well too, right? So
yeah, but Phil, even and you see when you do stupidness in a game, right? In terms of, and we could kind of make this a segue to in-game management and substitutions, right? So you could continue on that. But the thing about it is when you make foolish decisions that everybody knows are stupid decision, when you win by the skin of your teeth, nobody gonna say nothing, they're gonna call it a master stroke, right? So because that customer substitution was insane, right? Even when you consider the logic behind it, if we had lost that game, I think a lot more people would have gone in on the manager for that substitution, right? Because what he took out from the team was composure. He took out experience from the midfield, and he left a youth who played the first flipping game.
yeah,
Senior football. You talk about legs. Which tackle Jack Fletcher make? No. Every time Jack Fletcher get the ball, he was dispossessed.
Correct.
But with the youth, a reserve player coming into the first team, that's like a blind spot for the fan base.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying I'm against the youth players getting a chance, but we're trying to win a game here and win it.
Exactly, because there are bigger things at stake.
Exactly.
Right?
Anyway.
Like, it all looks like it was to appease Darren Fletcher and his wife who were in the crowd. It looked that way, right? So yeah, as you guys mentioned, the guy Jack Fletcher, I literally don't know what he did yesterday.
Nothing.
Exactly. Kudos on you for making your senior home debut. But let's be real. If all of our players are fit, you're not seeing the first team again. You're not, right? And as I mentioned, bigger things at stake. I cannot remember the last time we did two things: kept a clean sheet and also win a game at Old Trafford, right? So you're taking off Casemiro and bringing on who was the sub? Was it Lenny Euro or was it Jack
Ye-
Fletcher,
Yeah, it was Sesko and Casemiro for I think it was
Xerxes,
Christian Euro.
Xerxes and Euro?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's another stupid thing he did as well too. Why are you just sitting down on a one goal lead, right? You're not Jose Mourinho. You may be of the same nationality, but you're not Jose Mourinho. Why are you sitting down
We
on
are
a one goal lead?
wolves. We are wolves. We are wolves. That's how we play now. We play like wolves. We score a goal, and in the second half he was like, I tell you, we always losing home. We always winning one, losing one. Let me just try and see this out. This is not Manchester United, and
No.
listen, and I feel like the expectations have been lowered so much that I hear like when I couldn't even listen properly to the normal fan reactions because it's like people content with this, they're happy. Okay, yes, 3 points, it was a tough game, but I didn't realize we play like if we were wolves. We play like we were desperate to win this game, and then even the celebrations after, even the selfies in the locker room. I would have banned them thing. I would have tell them players take down that. What you playing on that for? There's Newcastle we beat. And what we do, we move in Europa League spots. It's Manchester United.
I see, right? I would tell you this here, JP. I would have taken that win with that type of performance if it was the business end of the season. There's
Yeah,
like there's like 10 more
yeah,
games to go. We just
yeah,
scraping one love, boom, just get that 3 points going up the table, right? But it's not even 2026 yet. It's not,
exactly,
right?
exactly.
And at the end of the day, it's
Not
funny because
sustainable.
it's funny because I'm in a few United groups, right? And me and some of these guys will go back and forth as to how the team perform. And as you said, JP, man, it's 3 points. You should be happy that we get 3 points. We could have lost. We could have lost. Yeah, don't get me wrong. Yeah, we could have lost. But if that's your way of thinking and that's the way you want Manchester United to play, then that shows me the type of fan you are, right? We're all Manchester United fans and we'll have a difference of opinion, but I think we can all agree. Not only do we want the team to get 3 points, but we want to see some sort of chemistry, some sort of style of play, some in-game management from both the
Sustainable
captains.
football.
Yeah, some fluid football as well too, right? And you just did not see that in the second half, right? So am I satisfied with 3 points? No Manchester United fans gonna say I'm not satisfied with the 3 points because we all are, right?
Mhm.
But let's not wait till we draw or lose a game to then analyze how the team is playing,
Yeah,
right? Because that
Correct.
3 points
Correct.
is like a band-aid over like a road crack,
Correct.
yeah.
right? But people gonna say, it's 3 points, brush it under the rug. And then when we lose a game, when we draw a game, now all of a sudden everybody wants to become a football analyst.
Yeah, like it
Oh
all falls
no.
apart all of a sudden.
Like dear United fans, it's okay to criticize the team when we win as well, too, you know. There's nothing wrong with
Yeah,
that. It shows
yeah,
it shows you're a real fan. I can leave
yeah,
it at that. If you're a fan that just wants to talk about the team winning, and don't criticize the team, you're not a fan. You're not. Anyway.
Yeah. In game management substitution, Simeon.
What what's to say about that? I mean, what I look at they keep showing the final, you know, team out there, in the game. You know, I don't understand how you take Casemiro off. Um, especially when he didn't look like he was, suffering, like he was tired, or I don't understand because if a goal scorer, you need somebody to with his skill set to be in the midfield to kind of marshal a decent defense as well as a capable offense because he could kind of do both. He's a great goal scorer aerially. I just don't see how you take him off in the middle of in the heart of the game, really. The heart of the game. I would say take him off there. I'm not the biggest Casemiro fan, because I believe he needs legs, but I think it was a reach to take him off for that, that young fella. I think, Xerxes. Yeah, you expect more from Xerxes. I'm not too, I think the fact that you expect more from Xerxes, tells you that he's normally better at holding the ball up and moving the ball around than he was yesterday. So I mean, I don't know if there's anything going on with his rumored departure or anything, but it wasn't I know he's better than that.
Yeah, it wasn't a good outing at all for him. It wasn't a good one.
Yeah.
Nah,
You know,
showing faith in the man, the man just showing zero faith in him. So if we're being honest, no matter what Zixi come out there and doing, Zixi could come out and score a hat trick and he will still bench the next game because Amram just do like him. Like the first sub that was made with for Mount Fletcher coming on for Mount, that should have been Zixi. That should have been Zixi. So if
Agreed.
I am Zixi sat on the bench and I see you bringing on this academy prospect who make one appearance against Aston Villa over me, who with this team, however long, over a year now, who proved myself in Italy to be able to get this move. Then when I come on mentally, it's like, this man don't really care about me, you know? Yeah, he's a pro, but the man is a human at the end of the day. So the way people getting in on Zixi are not even thinking about the situation as Zixi and this team here. I want him to go. I'll be happy for Zixi to go and ball out somewhere else because we wasting a proper talented footballer.
If I could just add something to that too, and sometimes when you bring on a player when the game already on its head, the entire team playing poorly, and this is the problem I just have with how we analyze games.
Mm-hmm.
Which substitution came on and positively impacted the game, right? But we have this kind of scapegoat mentality that we want to find the most unliked player or the most out of favor player because reports are that Zixi want to go. So he's the one that want to go, but he can't even play good here. So let me go in and die the player we had to scapegoat.
Yeah.
And it happened with so many other players in the past as well. Which player played well, and then the system, the amount of distance that player come on and had to run to cover for what? Because the team was just sitting so low, and you were here to win a ball in the air and control a football with 4 defenders on him. What we doing?
And nobody inside to pass it to.
You understand? Now, granted, he could have done a lot better, but at the same time, are we objectively analyzing the context of the game at the point in time, or we just looking for somebody to blame? And that's how I see it, and that's why he didn't do nothing spectacular, but he deserved that kind of scapegoating and criticism. I don't think so. So what I want to do now, guys, I want to go into some revelations that came out earlier this week, right? Our daily beloved manager was interviewed, right? And I just want to put two comments, and these comments may be wrongs on social media. And I really want to get all your thoughts on it. And comment section, if all there, and you could just put on the sorrel and the pancha creme just to throw in your 2 cents. Feel free if you don't feel to, if you don't want to, no problem, right? So Amram said, if I could go back to this time a year ago, I would do things so differently. I have learned more in this year as a manager than the other 5 combined. And he's talking about when he was at Sporting, right? I would do 75% of things different. All right. He went on to say, I am starting to understand that playing a perfect 3-4-3 will take time and money. So I have to adapt my playing style to get the best out of my players. Discuss.
You are hard top boy. You are.
Nah, he need the Shia LaBeouf slow clap. Or he needs to read that out again. And let me get my violin and start playing this here.
And what Phil's saying, right? On one hand, you're like, finally, but on the other hand, like, what?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
What? You know that kind of way? Discuss, fellas.
So you're supposed to be the next elite manager. And it take you a year to realize that you had to adapt to the players that you have. Instead of wanting to die on the hill, talking about the Pope can make you change the formation. All kind of gun talk, he talk about his system and formation that nobody could make him change it. A year later, plus when you realize flour more than water, now you want to talk about changing. And it's nothing more than he's seen his job on United. That is what it is, because this man know that he very close to the exit with how things have been going. Because how you could come over a year later, since last year we talking on this pod with Amorim when we realized how things were going. Since last year we saying, so what will happen if you don't get any players? What is plan B? Why you not showing that you can adapt now, then start to gradually bring in your players and start to change it? No, you do it the other way around. Force them to learn to play this way, and then gradually I'll go back and play to 4-3-3. Somehow I not seen how that making sense in it. How that was ever making sense to force the team to learn the 3-4-3, to then say they had to learn 3-4-3 first before we could play 4-3-3. And now you're saying it's about you had to know to adapt because you need specialist players for this and money for the system. If I was in use, I was taking this as you see that Trinidad flag in McCoy, a big red flag like that. Because that is madness. Because if you spend that money on specialist players behind this man, you know what happened to the next manager when he gone? We have specialist players who can't play their system. Forget that. Get players who are adaptable and who could play in their position properly and do a little more. You see this specialist wing back and specialist midfielder and specialist 10, and then you're throwing away the Manchester United way of football. So miss me with that, Amarim.
Yeah. And we get Lion on the inside. Lion, you jump in the nice time, man. In a real good time to defend your boy Amarim. All right. But Lion, we're talking about the comments that was made, and I'll just run it back for Lion, right? The manager was interviewed earlier this week, and he said if I could go back in time to this time a year ago, I would do things so differently. I have learned more in this year as a manager than the other 5 combined. I would do 75% of things differently. All right. I am starting to understand that playing a perfect 3-4-3 will take time and money. So I have to adapt my playing style to get the best out of my players. right? So, Simeon, go through now. We'll get Lion after.
I can't stay on much longer, but I must say this. I know. I think the aspect I'm looking at is Ineos tell us 3-4 years before we get a championship challenging team, right? To hire this fella. So it's a year of like what kind of planning was going on? Because you have to plan your team. So we wasted a year. 2 transfer periods with the wrong kind of plan, the wrong kind of thinking with this team. And we're already so far behind. I mean, that's time we don't have, that just wasted time. When we look back all the years of wasted transfer periods and the wrong players, I just feel like if your whole premise is wrong, that's my whole thing with the statement was like we wasted a year, like we as fans, pundits look at this and say, hey, XYZ, these players, you can't just pull up that formation and then go work. It'll take time, all these things we told him. And he laughed at everybody. I mean, he laughed at everybody, say, nah, I could teach each fellas how to play the system. And we waste a whole year. And now here we are, looking at this team, and like I still don't know where, so what does that like we change formation back again, like with Ineos and Amarim, it should have been, we should have a path, a clear path, but we just going around in circles. We're going back to we need specialist players. As a coach, I like to hear I was wrong, but when you're wrong about something this big, I'd look at you and say, hey, if that's your whole thing, because we didn't just get Amarim and his whole staff, get his whole coaching staff. If you can teach these fellas how to play, 3-4-3, I have to question you, because it wasn't important if you didn't realize the players you needed in that summer transfer window. And this is the thing, the money's being spent. If you didn't know what was important for your system and you didn't focus on that, I can't trust you running my club. And that's my whole issue with Amrin right now. It's like I look at you, I don't think you know what you're doing, where you're taking this team, and I can't trust you with that kind of choices. So that's all I gotta say about that.
Yeah. Alan saying here, Amarim thought he was at Man City. All right. Phil?
I can be slightly positive, and I can say better late than never. That's my ounce of positivity from the Amarim statement, right? But you gotta ask yourself, how we on the pod, whether you're in the States, whether you're here in Canada, whether you're in Trinidad, how we on the pod can see this for the last 6-7 months, and only starting to figure this out. That's the main question I have, right? Because 3-4-3 just seems so defense-minded, right? And your ability to adapt not only in game management, but also to adapt for a game will separate the average managers from the very good to the great managers, right? Right now, Ruben Amorim, you're just average, right? You looked very good at Sporting. Kudos to you. But Manchester United football is a different ball game.
It's not only that in the film, the Premier League.
Oh,
it's
I was just
kind of league.
Yeah, you looking good in the what's the Portuguese league called? Segunda? Anyway, Portuguese League versus the Premier League is night and day, right? So you being able to adapt to the Premier League and being able to admit your faults early is a sign of a very good manager. Right now, Ruben Amorim, you're just average, right? But my point still remains that better late than never. I would have rather Ruben Amorim, like we would have all rather Ruben Amorim admit it like 7-8 months ago than no. But on the flip side, I don't want to wait like 2-3 years down the road and Ruben Amorim says this shit, you know. So right now, cool. Let's accept that. But in the back of our mind, we're still thinking, we on the pod. We've been coming on the pod. We've been clicking on the StreamYard link that Reem sends us, whether we want to click on it or not. And we're still discussing. We're still discussing what Ruben Amorim has been going through, what we as fans have been going through for the last year or so, with regards to formation and players not clicking after a certain after playing so much together, and after a year, we still can't identify what this team playing as, right? But better late than never, and I will leave it there.
Yeah. Now, I'm glad Lion here because me and Lion are always back and forth on the Amorim issue, and he has his thoughts, and most times we disagree to disagree. So I'm glad he's here to kind of give it on a different perspective as well. So go to the Lion. What are you seeing?
So all you want to say.
Talk your mind. Talk your mind. Talk your mind.
So you bring in Amorim in half of a season, right? He has his own style. He tried to implement his style. He wanted to change to 4-4-2, right? He made the statement about 3-4-3. Was he playing that last season when he came? Was it 3-4-3?
Yes,
Because basically you have the player on the top, right? So it's more like a 3-4-2-1 in a sense.
Let me get that logical and
let me speak now, right? So the fan base has been crying out for a system, right? The man stick to his system. You come to Manchester United now, it's not Sporting. So you realize, okay, I may have to adapt certain things to fit into Manchester United, right? I don't have the players, because up to now, he don't have all the players for that system, huh? And when you check it in-game, he is changing his system up. So according to first half, they say 4-4-2, then he changed back to 3. So he is using in-game management, right? My boy Reem say, oh, this feeling, he not play. Before the game, yeah, oh, he not playing no youths, he not playing this youth, he not bringing on this one. I could predict what he going to do, right? I could predict what he's going to do. I could predict who's going to sub, who he's going to bring on. He's going to sub this one and bring on Euro. And
Amorim say, watch this.
He take off Casemiro. Oh, gosh, oh, my gosh. What you bring on this youth man for? So I don't know what we fans want. We grind out the result, we win the game. But as our next complaint again, oh, why you take off Casemiro? Casemiro face, he should have won Zuxi. He should have do this. We can't get nothing right now. We can't get nothing right. We cannot keep a system. The fans complaining, right? We ask for it, we get it, we complain. Change the system, it's not working. The man from the day one, the man say he is playing his system, and when he finds it right or the right time comes, he's going to change the system. I don't know who does be listening to his press conferences, because he did say he will change it. Yeah, the moment come where Bruno come and get injured, Meno playing the fool. Things. Amorim don't play youth. He bringing on the youths now, right? Maybe because of the circumstances, but I don't know what what we want as fans, right? We'll get our next manager with the same team. The team started to decline because that was happening with Ten Hag. this same team was starting to decline under Ten Hag. Amorim come and decline even further, right? And now we're starting to build something. You see, we linked with certain targets. We need a midfield, but you're working out what you have. So for me, I back in the manager, right? Because the panel done something like, oh, let me sack him tomorrow.
I just have some questions I want to ask you.
I got some questions here as well too,
because everybody does watch football different, right?
Yeah, 100.
Everybody watching football different. I seeing what I seeing. It ain't perfect, but look where we is on the table right now.
Yeah, but that in itself is a bit of a facade when you look at how other teams performing around us. Villa start off this season not being able to score in the first 5 games and contesting for the title. That's alone currently what we're going to the league this season. So had we had some form of consistency, we'd actually be at the top of the table.
What is consistency? Missing chances? Do we put away our chances?
Villa on a run of 11 games straight. We have a man who can't cut it here because we can't win 5 games.
Yeah, but Villa is not playing the best football, but they're efficient.
But they're winning. No, they're winning, and they're playing good enough to win.
Right, they're efficient. There's an efficient side.
The difference between Villa beat us for the goal.
Look how Villa beat us. Huh?
But I say with this here, when Villa scores a goal, Villa hungry for more goals, right? Manchester United, when we score a goal,
Villa is a very efficient side at taking the chances. Villa could get 3 chances, they're scoring 2. We get 3 chances, we scoring 1. Right? So we have to be more efficient.
So the first thing I wanted to really ask you is, do you think Amorim is adaptable?
Well, he's showing he's adaptable.
He's now showing that, but why a manager who is supposed to be, and let me tell you, you will know from the earliest, I was drinking Amorim juice. When he now coming, I was drinking juice. I was one of them was out here real, Amorim, right? But what I see happen with Amorim is he in a desperate situation now, and that is why we see in adaptability. But before that, when you had a team last season and we can't see the way, and he insisted on playing players in a system that they're not comfortable playing players in a position that they're not comfortable in. He did not change it. He stopped it. And we did not get the midfield to support the system. But yet he insisted on starting the season playing the system. Now, out of desperation, he is using it as adaptable and trying to play back four. And how did we look when we play a back four in the first half? We looked the best we've looked all season, playing a back four. You see what having Casemiro next to him looked like a better player. So he didn't show that all the time. It takes desperation with Bruno being out, with not having Kobe as an option, with Mbumo, Ahmad, and Mazwari not being in the team. It takes all these things happening, even with the youths. It takes even that to happen for us to see the youths to come into the team. And then when you're using the youths now, you're using them in a way like that wasn't the best substitution to make at that point in time. And then when you take off Casemiro, you leave this youth man next to Ugarte, who has not been a proper consistent performer all season. So if things went bad in that game, think about it. Newcastle, what everybody ignoring too. Newcastle is not a good traveling team this season. So yes, the game was scrappy and we win it, but Newcastle is not a good traveling team. We looked like the away team. We looked like the Wolves away team in that second half, holding on for their life at Old Trafford. That's how we look in that game. And it could have very easily gone in another direction with the pressure we were soaking up in that second half. We were fortunate that it didn't happen. And that's what I say. It is not sustainable football that we're seeing right now. So I cannot sit down and say I enjoy watching Manchester United play. I cannot sit down and say if I was a Villa fan, I could feel that they could pull off something. I don't feel like United could pull off something, and that's the difference. And that is why they could be on an 11-game run, and we cannot pull 3 wins together.
No, I mean, I look at this. Last thing I say after run, but like I said before, my issue with Amarim is uh, him. It could be him and the board, whatever it is. Before the season starts, if you know your system, you know Bruno ain't the best thing for that midfield. You have to know that. You have to. It's your system. You have to know the squad ain't gonna be balanced. Now you're saying, yeah, it will take money to buy, to get your team how you want it. Who you buy in the summer? You take what months between between your signings. You buy 3 attackers. So you know your system needed more players. I mean, were those the most important? You get 2. And now you come back, you want 1 more. Who is the menu we trying to get? Like, I don't trust this manager, this board. They try to tell us we need to spend money to build his team, to build the kind of team we want. But you spend money on positions that, to me, doesn't seem like that's the most beneficial way to get your team playing how you want to play it. If you have to have Bruno, I don't understand what, that's not the issue. Like, we keep on coming back to the point where we could change players and we could change coaches. We can't change players. We're always having a period of time where we bring in players that, for a team lacking stuff, we don't bring in the right type of players. And this coach, it seems like, I don't know if he had an issue with the board and them ain't working right, but we ain't getting that kind of balance this team needs, and he doesn't seem to be bothered by it. And then you come back and say we need more money to buy the players he wants. I'm like, how much money you spending in summer?
So what are you supposed to do?
No, but let me just say something here. There's something beyond I talked to Lion about, and I'm glad Simeon bring up that point, right? You know that for your system to work, the most efficient, you see that midfield for the 2 wing backs and the 2 central midfielders, that should have been your priority positions because you had Ahmad, you had Mount, you had Bruno. I understand that Hoyland needed changing, right? And you even had that option in terms of Zirkzee. So I didn't have a problem with probably going for a number 9 if you took Hoyland out of the team and probably went for Sesko. But I am very, very honest. If we went for 2 proper wing backs and 2 proper central midfielders, and we went with Bruno, Mount, Zirkzee, Ahmad as it turns, and we purchased Sesko, I think this team would have fared better trying to play Amorim's system. But we didn't do that, right? And you're dependent now because, and you see, so much people see it because even Nico, after we signed Cunha and Mbumo, Nico messaged me and say, Reem, if we do not improve the midfield area and those wing backs, this team will still suffer. Right now, Lion, one of the arguments was we ain't scoring goals. Right?
Wait.
Hold on, let me just finish this part. Let me just make this point.
Before I continue that point, let me just say one thing. At the start of the season, what did I tell you about the midfield?
I mean, we all agree.
I told you the midfield is not sustainable for that system. I did tell you that.
Right.
And we need to fix that midfield.
But my point is,
was
it worth spending 200 plus million on an attack when the most important area that needed attention was the midfield, right?
No, they should not buy Sesko.
No, but the point I'm making is this, right, guys? If oh gosh, I think I lost my point. Damn it. Oh, right. We spend We purchased the two best attackers in the league, and they came here and now they can't score. And you telling me it's their fault? When they were with Wolves and Brentford, two teams that are supposed to be less than Man United, them fellas was banging in goals for fun. They're here now at Manchester United and they're not scoring. And you telling me it's them fault?
So who
Let me
fault
take a no. What I'm saying is let me take a deeper look now.
And then first carrying the weight of the bad, just is not to say is the weight of the bad bringing down them first. It's seeing the carrying the weight.
Let me take a deeper dive, Lion. Come on, bro.
No, I listening to what you're saying. I asking him who fault it is they're not scoring. Because when you have a chance right in front of the goal and they're putting it over bar, who fault is that? Huh? When them guy he ball right in front of the goal and putting it over bar, who fault is that? I'm asking you.
I mean, but
you feel he couldn't do that he couldn't do that at Brentford, or he didn't used to do that at Brentford too? He has to do better there. Right?
Good point. But at the same time, you can't have guys, I mean, you can't score 4 goals and have 4 goals come back the other way because you can't control a game at the same time.
That midfield needs to fix.
Well, why did you?
And
we agree on that. Yeah.
No, I told him from the start. I said the midfield is not sustainable for the system.
So then why play the system?
We spoke about changing the system many times, right? We want, as I said, the fans want an identity for the club. You want a system. We've been calling for that. We get it. Okay, now working. It's changing up now. We had to see what's going on. But if we're trying to push to make Champions League, top 4 or something, we have to at least get 2 players in January because we cannot hold up, right? We cannot hold up with that. No matter you change the system or not, the midfield's still not good enough because we don't know how long we are gas Stinker from Ogate because he hasn't been playing well, right? We don't know if Casemiro will get injured. So we need something there too, no matter the system, right?
But Lion, the point I'm trying to make to you is when you play players in a system or a position where they might be a little more comfortable, that's what they know. That's part of how they built, right? You don't think the likelihood of getting a better performance from them on a more consistent, because one of the reasons why we're not getting consistency from these players, bro, is because they're not being helped in terms of what the manager asking for them. I'll give you an example. Yesterday we play a 4-3-3 or a 4-2-3-1, wherever we play, and that was the best we see out Ugarte, right? Heaven and Martinez look so good, right? Because Heaven didn't have to think about covering a position that he's still learning, or trying to learn, right? And some of the other better, more experienced defenders still struggling to do that. The point is, when we reverted to a 3 at the back yesterday, is when all hell break loose and we reverted to type. You understand what I'm saying? So you're saying that the manager's seen it now, but yet in games, he's still reverting to what he know. And this is the problem that we have in. This manager is not adaptable. He's saying things, but I've seen in games where the first half we own that game with a back 4. But then you choose to revert and the entire thing cave. And we were very, very fortunate to leave that game with 3 points yesterday. So what adaptability are you telling me about? That's what I was telling Phil earlier. On one hand, is a bit of a relief to hear that the manager is open to being adaptable, but I just still feel at some point in a game, he's going to revert to a back 3.
I don't know. I'll see what's coming up.
I hear we could all agree on the fact that the midfield need work, but that should have been the priority position as opposed to, because what he thought is if he could buy goals, that would just cover up the other deficiencies in the system. And I'm saying, no, if you so want and you so insist on the system, right, then that engine room was the most important thing. I promise you, you'd get goals from Bruno, Amar, and Xerxes and Bounty. You'd get goals. Them fellas gonna be getting like 10 chances per game, so they can at least score 4, and we will not be conceding 8. And that is my point. You try to buy goals to cover and buy time, but the Premier League is a different kind of monster. Teams just analyze you different. So when them see you play Villa last week, they're saying, okay, so this is where I think, okay, all right, nice, and we're gonna do something differently, and we're gonna expose you. So you can't come with that nonsense to me and expect that I could take that, you know. And the point I'm making, I make it here, since I predicted Amorim substitutions, Lion, I have been 100% accurate.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yesterday, I call the sub because I didn't think that it would have been wise, depending on, I told you, depending on how the game went, I would know if he will bring on a young player. If the game is in a situation where we had to hold on, a young player would not make sense to come on. Look when he bring on Fletcher.
Well, yeah,
45 minutes.
He hit you with the okay.
Yeah, well, he hit me kind of thing there, but did that substitution really make sense apart from a reserve player making it into the first team?
I was shocked he take off Casemiro. Right? I was shocked he take off Casemiro because that is the most experienced midfielder.
Yeah, you take experience out of the team there. If that game they went sour, I don't know how he would answer them questions, but he bluff. He win on that bluff.
My whole thing is about standards. It's about that's my whole thing. And I feel like the standards drop real low, especially last season. He dropped the standards so low that he just have people accepting the fact that I'll be scraping a win here. But really and truly it's not sustainable. Like that's my whole thing, right? I don't want to go through this cycle had a fire manager and start over again. But we had to be realistic. What we're seeing, is it sustainable? And I think the as much as we're missing chances, the fact that we have the quality players with the goals that we buy in this team is what have us where we are on the table right now. Because those fellas so good that at some point in the game there's link up and do something. But it's like we don't have a predictable way of scoring goals. You don't know how we play to score. What is the plan? What is the build-up? How are we trying to bring a striker into the game to score goals? We don't have that. We don't have a predictable way of, well, this is how our United team is set up and this is how they're scoring. As much as we know this is how they're scoring, we can't stop it. We don't have that. So I think, to me, what is the most concerning thing, and this is not me hating Amorim. It's just me seeing what I see, and it does not look sustainable. I cannot see us continuing playing like this and teams finding some kind of consistency. If Chelsea finds some kind of consistency, look Liverpool, who was having a terrible start to the season, come and overtake us. So that's why I say the league, because of how the league is, we're very fortunate to be where we are because of how other teams so inconsistent. So if we don't get it right soon and other teams start to get their shit together, that's when you go and start to see the reality of the situation at Man United. Because if we cannot continue like this, here we get 3 points. But I keep saying, I feel like if Wolves get 3 points because we play like a team that's struggling. We look like a team that was struggling in our second half and fighting to hold on to something. At the end of the day, this is Manchester United. We played at home, Old Trafford earlier. We played Old Trafford against Newcastle, and Newcastle was dominating the second half. And if it was a different day, we'd have been talking about not winning this game here. And that's when you can talk like that is when it shows that something wrong. because you could have a dog fight and you could scrape a one another. But you could say, yeah, but we didn't feel like they could have do nothing anyhow. We scraped it, but we didn't feel like Newcastle was in a glove on us. That wasn't the case yesterday. Yesterday it was a matter of Newcastle has not been traveling well this season, and it showed in that game because they did not take advantage of all the pressure that they were putting on us. If a Newcastle fan doing a podcast right now, that's what they will be talking about. United players should second up, and we didn't take our chances. We should have come out there with 2 points.
Newcastle's also not good at breaking down low block teams either. So
Yeah.
Let me just get his
That's
comment.
my concern. Yeah.
Yeah. Let me just get his comment from Jesus Hatcher on the inside. Thanks for joining. Saying, glory, Man United for life. Saying too many changes in game structure, etc. We haven't settled yet after a year under Scamorim. Yes. I just want to read. I'm just going based on the comments that Amram made in the interview, right? I just want to read 2 comments that that I saw that I thought would be good to bring to the pod here, right? The first one saying here, Ruben Amorim has been head coach for just over 12 months, and only now he understands the need to adapt tactically to get the best out of his squad. Like he's in charge of training every single day, as well as watching the same struggles in matches, and he's only realizing issues now. He's coming across very naive. Basically, we hired a really young coach to essentially learn on the job with arguably a new football instructor at the biggest club in the world at Manchester United. Learning and making mistakes together along the way. 12 months in, and now they are seeing what we have been seeing and saying for months. You just can't make this shit up. Only at Manchester United. The other comment says, all we have learned in 1 year of Amorim is that when the talent difference is high, we are able to take a lead and hold on due to sheer physical and technical gap. The model is rarely competitive with similar or better teams. It isn't managers' fault, but the decision makers, right? Amorim announcing all through last season that he's going for his plan A at the cost of short-term results for the betterment of the club, and asking to judge him in a year, only for a year later to say he'll have to adapt for results as his plan A is unrealistic. It's a poor look. Regardless of how this pans out, both the logic of the decision made to hire him and the decision to back his whole plan A, the cost of results, strategy needs to be questioned. Doesn't sound like a strategy to me. Even if this works, it's a fluke more than intended work. Right? And I thought those 2 comments, were well articulated. It made a lot of sense. And I in full agreement, right? Amorim, we can't blame Amorim all on we can't put all this on Amorim. I think Ineos had to take some smoke as well, right? But Ineos had to defend the position, right? But they didn't. Whoever was behind, this transfer window going in the summer, I'm not convinced that they were fully behind Amorim and this system, because I thought if they were, they would have looked at improving that midfield area first.
No matter, as I say, no matter the system, that midfield needed improving.
Yeah.
Because we have agent Casemiro, agent Bruno.
Exactly.
We don't have a midfield. Basically, we don't have a midfield.
Mm-hmm.
You talk about 34 and 32.
Reject from PSG.
Yeah.
Kobe want to leave from since summer. We don't have a midfield.
Anyway, guys,
January around the corner. Hopefully, we could buy somebody.
We have to, because other teams going to strengthen. If Villa could pull off some loans like they pulled off last season, without how they get Rashford and Asensio in that club, Villa have a proper shot at pushing for that title.
Rather than win the title than anybody else. Yes, to be honest. Honestly,
Arsenal fans,
I
Arsenal
cannot
fans will have to
see.
just bury themselves if Aston Villa could come and win that league before.
I cannot see them win that title. If them win that title, I done at football.
No, I'm telling you,
I'm gonna watch.
at all costs,
I'm
Arsenal
gonna
cannot
watch
win this
Poland
title.
or something. I done.
At all costs, Alia, we gotta come
Yeah.
together. Everybody had to play for one team, make a kind of start to the team just to make sure Arsenal don't win that league. But
And the thing is, they not even they getting help from other teams.
Yeah.
Will
would
score
dedicate-
3 goals.
I would dedicate a
They
single
score own
episode
goal.
on this podcast if Arsenal don't win the league.
Aye.
right?
I
Guys,
got a question
Go
though. I know we're about to wrap up, right? And obviously, if with regards to signings in the summer, I see we're linked with Conor Gallagher and Ruben Neves. You guys taking those guys?
Ruben Neves.
Neves. I open to hear the Neves deal. I want to hear about that one a little more. Conor Gallagher, no, I'm not moved with that.
Neves is a short-term solution to it.
Yeah. Because remember what I was saying too is they don't want to. The reason why they were moving for Semenyo is because it was a market opportunity.
They want the long-term targets.
But they want to hold out for the long-term targets. So January had to be loans. It had to be loans.
No, but if Neves was to come, like if there was to buy Neves would be like a future bench player or something like that.
Well, we need squad depth too, because when you see City making changes, you're taking off Randers and bringing on, you're
City
taking off
trying to
Doku.
buy players so that other teams can get them. Just like Chelsea.
Yeah.
So before we wrap, guys, we have Wolves on Tuesday at Old Trafford. We Wolves are winner game for the season. We beat Wolves in Molineux. So we can expect not walk in the park, but we should expect 3 points, right? JP talk about standards. But the thing about it is we don't have Bruno, we don't have Kobe.
I think Kobe might be back.
Kobe might be back, right?
Yeah,
but as it is now, we are sure Kobe's still 50-50, right? And then we are now going with Mount.
Right? Injured, or he just, I think they say he feels something, so I'm not sure.
Precaution.
Yeah, they took him out of precaution, but then to go, and probably ask him to start our next game, you don't know what it could trigger.
Or he sent back home to where he come from,
And the thing about Mount is you don't want to risk that, because if you risk he will be out for the next 6 months.
That's a day.
We're gonna sell he.
And then I don't know if anybody noticed as well, Shaw substitution was because he and all was moving kind of, a kind of way, and that's why he had to come off so late in the game.
Shaw look real tired too.
You understand? Yeah. So we don't know how I guess we go hear squad news probably tomorrow, Monday.
When I Shaw play all this football, Shaw you know about that.
And then Shaw was playing wing back.
Yeah.
We call that. We call that. We said it.
Shaw is about what, 37 now?
So young, man. So young.
But although we did say from the time Shaw play on that left side, Shaw gonna get injured.
I tell somebody that they say, why we don't play when they say Doguna playing well, they say why they don't play Shaw as a wing back? I say he gonna get injured the first game he play. Yeah.
Give Malasia more chances, man. I find give Malasia more chances.
But wait now, I had to apologize, because I come on the podcast late. I watch any time and I forget an hour behind.
You serious?
I swear to you, I forget. So I thinking, okay. Because you see the time I come in a little after 9 my time.
That was me a couple months ago as well too. So
Phil had to catch it.
I like, okay, the show gonna start now. When I see her in the hot seat, I say, oh wait. And I know watching the time they're hour and 41 now, but
yeah, man.
Boy.
Anyway, guys, I think the discussion was a good one. As always, Lionel, we're always glad to have you on the inside.
Yeah, I'll try to be on time next time.
For sure. Simeon, Phil, JP, as always, guys, we will be here again on Tuesday.
Tuesday night.
Tuesday.
Yeah, Tuesday to review that Wolves game. That's, you know, in my hope, you know, or I should say more expectation at Old Trafford. Wolves, come on, man. You know, this should be a easy.
Giving people goals now.
Yeah, Wolves.
Everton.
Nah, man. If Wolves beat me or get anything Tuesday, shut down the club. Right?
Yeah.
It's making sense.
Yeah.
So, guys, we're supposed to be back here talking about an emphatic win, right, against the worst team in the Prem right now. They may win a single game. I think that if they get relegated on this run, they will be the worst team to get relegated in history.
Derby, no, not worse than Derby, no.
No, they're looking worse than Derby right now. They're not even close to Derby points. Yes.
But you know what funny? Wolves not playing so bad. They're not
playing so
knocking
bad.
the ball nice. I watched them against Liverpool today, but it's like they have a curse, but
yeah.
Something up there.
I swear in the year Derby got relegated, they only got 11 draws. Or was it 5 draws?
I think it was like 12 points they went down or something.
Yeah, about 12 points. It was about 11 draws or something like that.
How much points Wolves have now?
Wolves on 2 points.
You sure?
Yeah.
They draw 2 games.
Wolves on 2 points. Wolves looking to do worse than Derby right now.
Yeah. Wolves might get relegated after the new year.
Yeah. Anyway, guys, I think we are at the end here. You know, we gotta look forward to this Wolves game. I think getting 3 points against Newcastle was a massive 3 points. You know, and we hope we could start to pick up more points. You know, because at the end of the day, Ruben Amorim, Manchester United, we still have to be, we had to be up there now.
Of course.
You know, so that's what we want. We just want the best for the club, right? So guys, thanks for the comments. Thanks for being here. Thanks for the shares. And we will see you all on the next one. Have a good night.
All right, good night.
Yeah, buddy.